A Ring doorbell camera caught this video of a scary clown lurking around the neighborhood, and it has everyone freaking out. A total stranger stands with their head bent at an extreme angle, examining the doorbell camera before a noise startles them, and they slowly back away like they were about to do something wrong. This was taken 4 days before Halloween, so it's probably somebody who is super excited and just wanted to creep people out early this year. Still, no friends are with them as they lurk around people's property uninvited, and no one in the neighborhood recognizes them, so who knows what they're up to. Also, notice how they didn't go back to the sidewalk. They go through the yard like they're either about to look in the next house or try a window. It might be 4 days before Halloween, but maybe they're using this as cover to case houses in the near future. In some parts of the world, it's customary to never put your shoes on in a hurry. Here's why. A large snake has coiled up in the toe of his shoe and refuses to get out. If he had put it on without looking, then the snake would have no doubt defended itself. He says that this is a non-venomous juvenile rat snake, and I wanted to know if this is an accurate description. I see no bright markings, so I would say he's at least right about the non-venomous part. He gets it out using a hook they keep around just for this purpose and does not seem too worried about it, but as far as I'm concerned, any snake in my shoe should be considered highly dangerous. After watching this creepy video, I might start checking my shoes each time before I put them on. These two motorists are driving around in the UK when one of them looks up in the sky and pulls over. They stare at the clouds for about 15 seconds and nothing happens. Then, just when they are about to give up, an unknown object appears immediately in front of them. It drifts into a cloud and some kind of electric reaction happens. Lightning goes off and then a weird semi-transparent rectangular object floats to the ground. The video is very low quality, so either this was taken a long time ago with a bad camera, or else it was probably edited. Either way, I must find out more about what was in that sky. A girl is coloring in the living room when her papers blow away despite there being no breeze. Even if the windows are open, the curtains behind her do not move, so this simply shouldn't happen indoors. When the little girl comes back to stare in utter confusion, it just gets worse. The room is silent, no fans are on, so how does this happen? If this is real, then it definitely has to be the work of a poltergeist. Maybe it's already even attached to her. This bizarre video of Space Mountain was recorded by a YouTuber named Jake Tungsten. Jake originally recorded it just to have a memory of the thrilling ride forever, but when he reviewed it later, he saw what in his words was a real ghost. Some sort of phantasm does seem to briefly materialize and hover in the right side of the screen as the roller coaster passes by. Then the same thing happens as the roller coaster climbs upwards. Finally, a transparent figure briefly appears to the right of the track during the descent. I'm not sure if these are real or just some sort of hologram projections created by Disney, but the man who recorded this is absolutely convinced that he has caught a ghost on tape. It could even be the famous Mr. One-Way ghost seen in the previous video. If you have ever seen anything similar on the Space Mountain ride, let me know. Together, maybe we can verify this rumor or finally put it to rest. A paranormal crew communicated with numerous unearthly entities in this haunted place. Published by Paranormal Voyages in January of 2022, the crew first records a disembodied voice that they don't seem to hear in the moment.
Yeah.
A moment later, while they're communicating through the spirit box, something appears over one of their shoulders. They then hear what sounds like a scream.
It's like a scream. Yes, it's a scream.
Oh, that was disembodied.
That sounded like it was disembodied to me.
It was a scream.
The spirits tell one of the crew to move forward.
Something's telling me for you to move forward a little more.
What? What the heck was that? You hear that?
Whoa.
I want to move forward.
Later, while using a Kinect, an anomaly is detected. After being bombarded with questions, the spirits have a question for the crew.
But why?
Oh! No.
Oh my! You hear that whisper? But why?
But why? I asked for a baby.
Yeah.
And we said no, and it goes, but why?
While they continue to communicate, one of the crew feels a sharp pain in his heart.
What? Jeez. My heart just started hurting. You alright? Yeah, I think that was like a sharp pain.
Back with the Kinect, another anomaly makes its presence known. What do all these spirits want with the living? Maybe if we listen closely, we'll hear it. A YouTuber named G, the one and only, starts off this video immediately looking creeped out and a little bit panicked about something, but we are not yet let in on whatever his current situation is. Presumably a friend of his starts to film him as he proceeds to walk into a room which is absolutely filled with bionicle toys, which is surely any young kid's dream. But maybe this set of bionicle toys are not meant to be played with.
There's nothing up here.
They are claiming that a bionicle's head moves on its own. Let's slow this footage down and see if we can see it. See, it's the tallest bionicle figure. Oh, I see it now. I think it's this one right up here. Although it only happens for just a brief second, if you slow down the footage and zoom in, you can see that the tallest bionicle figure standing up actually appears to move its head slightly all by itself. Of course, it is entirely possible that this particular figure is battery powered and has a built-in feature which allows for its head to move around, but that seems like reaching for answers. Plus, the uploader who owns the toy is creeped out by this, so it can't be battery powered. He says that he doesn't believe in ghosts, but is having a hard time dismissing this clip. Let this video be a warning that not even your own childhood toys are safe from being taken over by the spirit of ghosts. This video, supposedly leaked by a former NASA employee while orbiting the Earth from space, apparently shows the fabled Black Knight satellite in action. According to theorists, the Black Knight satellite is actually thousands of years old and made by extraterrestrials, not humans. Many people believe that NASA is going to great lengths to cover up the existence of this foreign object, as well as whoever created it. The video itself looks pretty old, possibly from the 60s or 70s. The quality is grainy due to either aging or CGI effects. Based on what you've seen here, tell me if you think this is a real cover-up or just video editing. Dark Ghost is a Russian paranormal investigator sharing his story on YouTube since May 2017. He has traveled to some of the most terrifying locations in Russia to document evidence of ghosts and other bizarre phenomena. By popular request, he returned to a home he had previously investigated and had gotten a lot of response from whatever was living there. According to legend, someone or multiple people are buried underneath. Immediately upon entering, there is still furniture in the house largely untouched, giving the impression the house was vacated rather quickly. The bed even remains done. It's not long after his arrival he receives his first sign he is not alone. Loud knocks from the living room behind him. He ventures to the kitchen to investigate, where he is greeted by a door swinging open on its own. The room the door leads to is full of junk and what appears to be a table and bed frame, but nobody is inside. Curiously, there is a trapdoor to the attic, which he decides to later investigate. After setting up his equipment, he ventures back to the attic door to have a look inside. Furthermore, it's doubtful anyone is hiding up there, as it's too cramped, and the only way to open the trapdoor is from below. Nothing happens for quite some time until he is nearing the end of an experiment using a camera flash rapidly firing. After a final flash, a loud sliding noise is heard from under the bed, causing him to retreat. When he gathers the courage to return, he discovers evidence that a box under the bed was moved, as seen by the disturbance in the dust on the ground. Moments after this discovery, he is startled by the same noise under the second bed to his left. He briefly retreats outside to compose himself and eventually returns to the living room. Once again, nothing happens for some time until he goes to retrieve another piece of equipment.
Так, мне нужно сейчас будет ИГФ.
As he ventures back to the kitchen, he is startled when the accordion on a side table suddenly goes off. He watches in shock as it continues to squeeze in and out, the haunting sound emanating from it. This almost proves too much and he rushes into the kitchen, closing the door behind him. However, whatever has been with him this entire time goes after him, and the door once again quickly opens, almost as if it has been kicked open. He kicks the door back to see if there's a response, and he gets one in the form of a door behind him rattling. Clearly terrified, he retreats outside. After some time, he explains he stayed away for about an hour before he returned inside. When he returns, he sets up a spirit box session, asking questions as a camera continuously takes photos of him. Despite asking questions for several minutes, it takes some time before he receives his first response. Almost immediately after, he hears what appears to be shuffling or possibly whispering from beneath the bed next to him. After asking if whatever is there can show itself, the wardrobe behind him opens on its own.
Вы можете показаться?
Without him noticing at first, after the spirit box replied, "Not enough strength," followed by "to pass away." When he asks what it meant, it replies, "For you." Well, it seems to make sense the reply would be "not enough strength" in responding to its manifesting. Following up with "to pass away" and "for you" seems ominous and terrifying. Could the spirit be referring to its desire to take their lives? When he asks what it means, it replies, "and you will see us." By now, Dark Ghost can hide the fear on his face, even from behind his face mask. His mannerisms are now that of anxiety. After several moments of silence, he asks if it is still there, only to receive an answer of ear-piercing electrical screams.
Вы здесь? Вы здесь?
At this point, he decides to end the investigation out of fear for his safety. Clearly, whatever remains there is unwelcoming and wants to be left alone. A YouTuber named the Starbreed notices a bright white object floating upwards and starts recording. The weird object somewhat looks like a street lamp. except it's way up in the air and seems to be heading in the Starbreed's direction at a fast rate of speed. Moments later, it is only a fraction of its original size and hovering directly overhead, twice as high as before. The Starbreed continues to record in total disbelief, not even so much as making a sound, just quietly zooming in. Just when it looks like the unidentified flying object is about to go away, it does something completely different instead. He records a brief strobe light effect and then the UFO is gone. Looking back at the footage, the Starbreed has little doubt that this was actually an abduction attempt on him that was aborted at the last possible second. I'm not sure if this was a real encounter or just CGI. As I said before, it almost looks like the UFO could be one of the street lamps edited. Take a look at the evidence again and let me know what you think really happened here. If insects aren't your thing, then this entry will highly test your bravery. This footage is of an insect swarm at the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa. The uploader writes, "During our family holiday in 1996 or 7, we had parked the car and gone for a short walk up the cliffs. When we came back, we found that our car had become a hotspot for these giant wood lice, sea slaters. The clip shows piles upon piles of wood lice crawling around the car tires, an absolutely terrifying sea of insects, all coalescing beneath the vehicle. As the uploader says, probably attracted to its cozy comfiness. After seeing this, would you be brave enough to climb back in and leave? I thought not." A YouTuber named Charles M is checking out an old house for sale in Las Vegas that was supposedly owned by the mafia. At one point during the tour, he comes across a fake wall in the kitchen and follows an old set of stairs down to a secret basement. The basement extends for a long time further and further underground, eventually opening up into a long white room that's completely bare, except for cabinets lining the far wall. Connected to this room are two other smaller rooms about the size of a closet. They each give him a bad feeling. The two smaller rooms are dark and soundproof. Strangest of all, the doors only have knobs on the outside. I don't know why the mob would have needed a soundproof room that nobody could escape from, and I don't want to know. That's all he finds. Hidden inside the ventilation shaft of one of the rooms is what appears to be a single spent bullet casing. Parents may especially have trouble watching this dashcam video from Toronto. This father with a baby stroller is about to have the scariest encounter a father could ever experience. He's getting his kid out from some snow when a thoughtless driver goes through a red light and almost takes them both out. The car has some flashing lights on the back, so it could have been an emergency and might explain why they were going so fast. Still, had he been pushing the baby stroller in front of him, this would have been a much different video. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. It's not too often that you watch a video that completely scares you silly. Published to YouTube by RZ Flame in March of 2017, the uploader of our first clip believes what you're hearing is a ghost, and what you'll soon see will prove it. The sounds are subtle at first. They don't even wake the lone man in the office, who's sleeping on a chair in the corner of the room. Neither does the phone, which rings a couple times shortly after the noises start. He appears to wake slightly, but not enough to get up and answer the phone, and soon he's dozing again. When the phone rings yet again, he finally rises to answer it, before returning to his computer and getting back to work. That's when a chair in the opposite corner of the room spins full circle on its own. This catches the worker's attention briefly, but he shrugs it off and returns to his assignment. A moment later, a water bottle falls from the edge of a desk. At this point, the office worker stands up to gauge what's going on. That's when the poltergeist really has some fun, throwing a chair onto its back in the middle of the office. This activity seems to be the last straw. The man screams and races from the room. That's some good judgment on his part. A man and a woman are enjoying a private plane ride when suddenly their pilot slumps over and becomes unresponsive. Watch the trees and you'll see the plane is really sideways and they are really freaking out. It looks like she is going to take off her safety belt and jump when the pilot springs back to life and everyone starts laughing. Everyone but her. Do you think this joke went too far? I think there's a certain line between tasteful and terrifying that they may have crossed. And any prank where you fly with your eyes closed probably isn't the best idea. Baby monitors sometimes capture that which we don't even know is there. This creepy clip was posted to r/ghosts by Zealous Ideal Call 53. It shows a monitor placed in a child's bedroom. The baby is playing while her guardian appears to be on her phone. All is normal until you turn up the sound. A growl of a voice snarls "help me" 3 times in a row at the beginning of the video. Neither the baby nor the young woman in the video appears to hear the voice. Is it crossed wires with a nearby baby monitor? Did someone hack the monitor's sound? Or is it an EVP capturing someone beyond crying out for help? The Redditor explains in the comments that this isn't the only strange occurrence in their house, and that paranormal events have regularly been happening since she was pregnant. The Redditor writes, "We've had another incident with her nanny cam and seeing a black shadow near her, an orb, and her suddenly waking up screaming. I've had issues in my own room with the feeling of someone watching me, breathing on my neck, severe night terrors, and missing items that suddenly return. Does this give more credence to the presence of a paranormal entity? My answer is yes." With a Ouija board in hand, a YouTuber named Contagious Noise takes her girlfriend and her sister to an old barn that's just beyond city limits. They are positive that this barn is very haunted and therefore the perfect place to contact the other side. The group laughs and carries on playfully at first, but it isn't long before the situation grows alarmingly serious. Tell me if it really looks like the pointer is moving all by itself here.
On my grandma, I'm not doing it. Garrett?
I swear on everything. I'm not. Look at my fingers.
Soon they contact the spirit of a 4-year-old who could possibly be named Ryan. They are trying to ask it more questions when out of nowhere it spells out the name Grace, which is the name of one of the girls. The spirit doesn't seem to want to give any real answers. Sometimes the Ouija board simply spells letters at random. Just when they get the feeling that a spirit is messing with them, a random noise confirms their suspicions.
Or ask who the 4-year-old was. Why they're here?
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Each one of them promises that they are not playing a joke and they decide to try again. This time the Ouija board spells out a single word.
Help. Say goodbye.
Caitlin Raquel is alone in her room when this shadow passes through her room without passing over her. Her hands are not covered by the shadow, even though it walks directly in front of her. A YouTuber named Run Gun Griff is a drone enthusiast who explores a lot of exotic locations on his channel. Most of his videos are taken on tropical islands, but this one was shot at a hard-to-find rural spot that he simply describes as being in the middle of nowhere. As this drone flies high, you can see that Run Gun Griff and his friend are standing in the middle of a huge field of crops that's covered in a series of strange markings. The symbols themselves are perfectly symmetrical and extremely precise in their geometry. Their designs look strikingly identical and appear to have no noticeable differences, a sign that it was not made by humans. I suppose that it would be possible to do this with farm equipment, but farmers have little reason to vandalize their own field, and since there's absolutely no flaws in the design, I think that there is a strong possibility that this was made by something extraterrestrial. Let me know if you think that these crop circles are man-made or extraterrestrial in nature, and if you recognize any of these symbols from any literature, movie, or video games, then I'd definitely like to know where they are from. Josh is afraid of heights and his family is giving him a hard time about it. They bet him some money that he won't be able to stay on the ledge of a watchtower for long. He takes the bet and this is his immediate reaction.
Oh my god. Can't be so lucky. No. You gotta be out for 1 whole minute.
Josh's family ups the ante to $10 if he can make it all the way around the walkway. Pale and shaky, he inches his way across the platform, timidly clinging to the wall at times to keep from falling over. At one point, it looks like he isn't going to make it much longer.
Landscape out here.
Okay, I'm ready to turn around.
Nope.
I can't do it. There's people in the way. I can't stand up here for this long.
But he summons all of his strength and eventually makes it full circumference. If you have a fear of heights, then let me know if you would be willing to walk around this tower for $10 like Josh just did, or if it would take way more to make you budge. A postal worker is moving some mail around an office building and summons an elevator. There's an overhead light in the third camera that flickers from the very beginning of the video onwards, which may or may not be an indication of something paranormal. Notice how this electrical disturbance briefly spreads to the elevator as soon as the doors open. So far, this could just be a technical malfunction, but that doesn't explain what happens next. Watch as the papers start fluttering on their own despair there, being no possible draft inside of the cramped space. I can't help but notice how the papers stop fluttering every time he looks over, only to resume again when he stops paying attention. It definitely looks paranormal to me. Again, the lights flicker on and off as soon as the doors open, almost as if a paranormal entity is getting on and off the elevator with him. He notices that the lights are flashing an awful lot down here, but he chooses to ignore it and keeps moving. A short while later, this phantom businessman partially emerges from a realm beyond our own. I have trouble believing this part is not computer-generated effects, but that doesn't necessarily mean the whole video is fake. Maybe everything up to this part was real, and someone added in this final scare at the end. Or worse still, maybe I'm wrong and this ghost really was behind him. Warning, don't enter a dark and disturbing abandoned house at night. Posted by Car Records in 2010, the team is exploring an abandoned house at night when they zoom in on a corner of the room. In that dark corner, behind various obstructions, appears a creepy girl doll. The disturbing sight causes them to race from the room. Wouldn't you? I don't think they had any other choice. Shared by YouTuber Random Videos 5, a supposed witch was captured on camera approaching the security guard in the street late at night. Let's see it unfold. As he nears the wailing sound, he starts reciting a prayer, and then he sees her. The witch comes toward him, wailing. To me, she appears to walk very stiffly and has an uncanny narrow form. The security guard backs away as she continues to bellow. I think this is a real witch. I've never seen or heard anything like it before. And what I really want to know is if she is cursing him. And are we cursed too by proxy? We better say sorry to this witch before we're cursed next. In this creepy video, ghost hunter Luan Mendez and his team are investigating this spooky abandoned building.
O Renato aqui passou pra gente.
As they approach, one of the crew sees something, but what they find is not meant to be found.
Opa! Tem alguém aí? Ó, tem gente aqui, irmão. Calma, calma, calma. Nossa, irmão!
Despite the freaky scene they enter, and they soon regret it.
Morcego, morcego. Oh, olha!
Ele tá mostrando o dedo, ó.
Tá mostrando o dedo, Júlio.
Tem sangue na boca dele.
Nossa!
After being bombarded by the bat, the team later hears a noise in the abandoned home. They look around to find its source.
Opa! Hã? Nossa! Sai daí! Meu Deus do céu! Sai daí! Você tá louco?
Of course, they flee, but the mystery of the figure draws them back in.
Oh! Esse cara deve estar com mal intenção com a coisa, Iru.
Olha o prego, ó.
Cuidado!
Eu falei aqui que eu me rasguei, irmão. Aqui o prego aqui, ó.
Como assim, velho?
Tá doendo meu braço, velho.
Essa coisa aqui tava na mão dele, ó. Essa coisa aqui.
But the hooded figure has now disappeared. It appears to me as though the crew walked straight into a ritual of some kind. But what type of ritual is the million-dollar question? Like most cats, this one can snooze all day.
She's right here, asleep, right? She's not even moving.
But unlike most cats, this one will wake from a deep sleep whenever the door to the basement is touched, even putting its paw out as if to greet whatever's on the other side. This time it's more curious than normal, more driven. The cat seems to pay extra attention to the doorknob in particular. It really wants in. Then the door opens.
What I don't understand is I can do this to any door. She won't care. Holy.
Despite being closed and latched, the door pops open, even assuming the cat did slide its paw under the door and somehow opened it. What is down there that has its interest, and why only this door? Have you ever heard a banshee or seen one? You're about to. Posted by Omni King Arceus 2 to the Chills Narrator subreddit. The uploader claims this video may be proof of the existence of banshees. Dressed in long green dresses under gray cloaks with long hair and red eyes from constant crying, banshees appear or are heard by those whose family members or acquaintances have passed. The banshee's cry is described as mournful beyond all other sounds on earth, and when heard in the silent night, it is said to predict the passing of someone close to the listener, or may even be a warning of the person's own forthcoming passing. This clip shows an Irish woman named Nicole walking from a shrieking sound outside her home. For some reason, she decides to head out into the darkness to investigate. While outside, she pauses for a moment to listen, and the haunting wailing is heard again. As she continues wandering in the darkness, she addresses whatever creature is making the noise, saying she's not there to hurt it, but to help it. Not long after, there's a shape in the darkness. You can hardly make it out, but it appears like a robed figure. Again, the shrieking noise is heard. The frightened young woman turns to hurry back inside. In the extended version of the video, the woman explains what happened after she returned home. She said when she arrived at the back door, it was locked. She went to another back door and there was a comb on her desktop. She says she doesn't use combs. She wonders if ghosts groom themselves. What is going on here? Angela Elliott added that if you hear the banshee, then an acquaintance will pass away, and if you see one, then you will. As a matter of fact, in the clip, Nicole gets a phone call telling her that a schoolmate was found passed away.
Unleashed with my dad against it and all. Back a sec. I'm sorry, what?
But Nicole saw the banshee too. Will she be next? Like most cats, this one can snooze all day.
She's right here, asleep, right? She's not even moving.
But unlike most cats, this one will wake from a deep sleep whenever the door to the basement is touched, even putting its paw out as if to greet whatever's on the other side. This time it's more curious than normal, more driven. The cat seems to pay extra attention to the doorknob in particular. It really wants in. Then the door opens.
What I don't understand is I can do this to any door. She won't care. Holy.
Despite being closed and latched, the door pops open, even assuming the cat did slide its paw under the door and somehow opened it. What is down there that has its interest, and why only this door? A YouTuber named Noah DB5 hopes to find creepy haunted places to explore around his campus, and so Randonautica takes him to a nearby cemetery, but not just any cemetery.
Oh god, there's more screaming as we're approaching the graveyard.
A cemetery with scary screaming noises at night, and later on while exploring a different area, he hears the same scary noises again, this time from deeper within the woods.
Okay guys, hold on. I'm not kidding. Something from the forested area, we're hearing noises right now. I hope it happens again because it's right by the river. So it could, what is that, dude?
This sounds like it could be some kind of wild animal to me, but other people are saying that this could be a mysterious creature like the Rake, and that he is most likely being followed. Noah has asked if you would subscribe to his channel and check out his other videos like this one. Based out of the southern city of D'Armanville, Exploring Alabama is a YouTube channel that takes on the creepiest abandoned places in the entire state. One such video is an abandoned church that's in the early stages of decay. Inside is a mess but still structurally sound. Some rooms are too dark and creepy for him to willingly go into, so he mostly stays in the more well-lit areas and continues to explore until he gets his share of footage. As he's leaving, something compels him to take one last look in the main room, and that's when he records it. Some are calling this a mysterious creature, while others say this is only a stray cat and nothing more. It's too far away to tell for certain, but I think it's interesting and worth talking about. So what do you think? This Saudi Arabian YouTuber decided to do some urban exploring in 2018. The property looks long abandoned, and they are forced to explore only by flashlight. Despite the creepy feel of the place from the very start, the men brave it out and continue exploring. It starts to appear as though the men are being watched, and on multiple occasions they check their surroundings to make sure they are all alone. It turns out their instincts are correct, as they capture what they claim is a witch. It definitely appears to be someone dressed in all black robes, with their face fully covered. I believe someone might have actually been living on the property, and they wanted to scare them away. Or do you think the YouTuber was correct, and this was an actual witch? A man is holding very still with his arm out at an odd angle. That's because he doesn't want to attract the wrath of this dangerous little fellow who somehow slithered into a scary situation. He is helpless as his friend carefully pinches his sleeve to determine where the snake is. He makes a cutting motion with his free hand to tell his friend what to do, not wanting to alert the snake with the vibrations of his voice. Once they carefully cut away the sleeve, you can see the snake is curled around his right bicep and in no hurry to leave. The mouth is right by his arm, and it would take less than a second to strike with fangs. They wisely pull open the sleeve with the scissors to distract the snake and get its head away from his arm, but there's not enough room, so they need to cut more. By now, the snake is getting upset, so with no time left, they reach in and scoop him out. I guess they could have done that the whole time, but it was much too risky to be a first option. Take a look at its markings and tell me what kind of snake this is. I'm guessing by the way they handle it with such extreme caution that it has to be venomous. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by ConsciousSwing7599, this redditor wrote, "Trying to film a podcast until some intruder or some kind of lost creature started stalking us. Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about."
Yeah, no, I don't know. In 40 years, not retiring. What are you gonna be doing, dog?
I'll be close to retiring, I said.
I don't know, dude. That's gonna be me, dude. I can't see myself doing anything but one of those like trashy office jobs, dude.
The redditor later wrote in the comments, "There was something in the background right before the first cut."
Guys, there's a little jiggling going on with our doorknob. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know who that is, or if I call my dad, I know we're not going upstairs. That's for sure. I'm hoping he's going away. This is the third time he's done that.
And it started stalking us and trying to get in.
Oh, you can kind of see him. Boom. Yeah, no, there he is. That's a little scary for us tonight. My dad is not home. I don't know if I call him or what. Dude, we found the guy that was at our house knocking. He's just walking on the highway. We passed him like a couple times. Now he's gonna be up here, I think.
Dude, this is
crazy. You guys see him? I'm not slowing down, dude. I'm not risking this.
Be careful.
Driving in the
You don't want to hit him, dude. He's just walking around.
There he is. There he is. There he is. That's creepy.
What?
To which Pete the Cook 2 responded with, I can see it in the background before you go in, but can't make it out when you are looking out the window. Is the thing in the background the same as the guy walking down the road? The uploader later responded saying, he was actually out the window if you look against the garage. We think it's the same guy, because it's not like a group of people are going to a house that rural. It seems like this was one of the most positively received submissions in Chill's narrator subreddit history. Thanks Conscious Swing 7599. This house is supposedly haunted, and the family room reportedly has the most activity out of anywhere. As you can see in this close-up shot, there is nothing out of the ordinary about this mirror at all, but once the paranormal investigation is underway, a woman's colorless face appears in the upper left quadrant. She is staring directly at the camera with two black holes for eyes. Her thin lips and nose clearly visible. As far as I can see, there is nothing in the room that could cast such a strangely vivid reflection. A YouTuber named Connor Does Adventure goes exploring a sewer tunnel that's been abandoned in the middle of the desert. They're kind of nervous but also in the mood to see something crazy. Little do they know what horrors are about to get caught on camera. It's a long walk to get to the old pipe and they keep stopping because they think they hear something.
It's funny. Know why you're scaring us.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Okay, it's not funny.
That sounds like it could be a frog to me, but maybe not based on what they see next.
What? Dude.
Okay. We're on. You gotta go!
An extra creepy creature slowly stands upright in a strange pose that looks vaguely human.
Dude. Stupid, why would you stand? We gotta go!
It chases them for a while on all fours and then marches straight towards them.
Okay, come on. He's coming.
Dude, he's coming.
This is beyond creepy, but it's probably one of their friends in an outfit.
Dude, do you think he can get past these gates right here?
Oh yeah, dude, look, there's an entrance right there. That's how we... Oh shoot, ready, go! Oh my gosh!
After all, stopping a second time to turn around and record some more doesn't seem realistic. I think most people would be out of there and never look back. A solid stream of worm-like invaders moves in unison across the forest floor, while a dog whines with fear. Listen to the noises their dog makes, and try to tell me it's not warning them to get far away. There's got to be some kind of logical explanation in nature for this, but it sure looks like the start of a parasitic invasion to me. And when another canine joins in, I can't help but suspect this group has discovered something they'll soon wish they had never come across. Obviously the animals are on guard, but from what exactly is my question? Skiers beware. Sometimes the snowbank is deeper than it appears. Posted to Instagram by Chris J. Fish, this GoPro video shows viewers what it's like to avalanche yourself. The skier is seen traveling over a snowy hill between two trees followed by some rocky crags. After overtaking the rocks, he immediately drops feet down into the snow. He is seen frantically trying to dig himself out. After what seems like an eternity, he spots a glimmer of sky above, as someone on the surface is also digging frantically to pull him to safety. Chris says this is the first time he's been completely buried. He writes in the comments, "I started to panic a bit as soon as I inhaled a whole bunch of snow. My entire throat and mouth were full and definitely had a bit in my lungs." He goes on to explain that his friend was staged nearby to rescue him if this happened, which anyone who's skiing across unknown territory should do. Did this scary event stop him from future skiing? Nope. He writes that as soon as his breathing returned, he was off again. Chris asked if we would include this PSA. He writes, "The rule to dropping from big cliffs into bottomless powder. Have someone close by to dig you out if you get buried." I'm thinking I'll stick to the bunny hill. A man claims that he keeps experiencing paranormal activity in his dining room and nowhere else. He feels unsafe and decides to leave a camera running in the dining room to see what goes on when he's not around. Nothing happens for a while, but then something comes along in the window that looks questionable. This is the zoomed in version. A tiny face appears to peek out at them from the glass panel on the bottom right before darting out of sight. You can't really make out any of its features, but notice how some orbs float by shortly before this happens. It's hard to tell if it's a paranormal creature or just a small animal, but I wouldn't want to be left alone in the house to find out. Erwin Saunders enchants us again with these captures of a folkloric woodland creature. Published in October of 2021, Erwin was searching for another creature when he caught this one unexpectedly near a small waterfall. The creature flits quickly into view, too fast to see clearly. It makes a reappearance again later, but it still moves too fast for the human eye.
Yeah.
Some in the comments note that in slow motion, the creature appeared to have a big head and bat-like wings. What is this thing? Is it truly a folkloric woodland creature? Because that appears to be the case. Give your haunted eyes a rub and take another look. A YouTuber named SBRT Life is going to investigate some train tracks that are rumored to be haunted by an inhuman creature. The tracks are reportedly hard to cross and very narrow. Numerous people are said to have been run over or fallen to their doom. They sneak past a fence and it isn't long before they hear strange noises from an unseen beast. They soon find a set of tracks elevated high off the ground. The bottom is pitch black and they can't even see how high up they are. One of them gets a little too bold and goes out a long distance.
No, we're not out that far. No, if you look down, you're out that far, you'll die.
Then, as if right on time, the worst equipment malfunction possible occurs.
Oh my god. Alex, my light won't come back on.
Suspended high above ground in total darkness, this YouTuber hears a train horn.
There's a train coming. There's a train. Get your boots. Get your boots, Tyler.
The group of friends now blindly races ahead, desperately trying not to fall off the tracks or get run over. Finally, with the track fast approaching, they are forced to jump. As you can see here, they barely make it out alive as the train passes overhead. Fortunately, they had cleared most of the track, and it was only about a 5-foot drop instead of 30. The only thing that saved them that night was their own speed. As for what caused their flashlights to turn off, the group has little doubt that it was the very same creature that the legend spoke of.
And I always look up to the sky and I always say, "Hi, Dad."
That's how a YouTuber named Jennifer Moen5 pays her respects to her dad, who has since passed on. Then one day it looks like her father says hello back to her and her family.
Oh boy.
you can see a shimmering orb rise and fall to the ground as soon as she says hi to her father. I wanted to add that this is the only paranormal video on Jennifer's channel, which otherwise focuses on enjoying wholesome moments with family, so I really don't think this is video editing. I also wanted to ask that everyone please show the utmost respect when telling me if you believe this is real or fake, since it deals with the memory of a loved one. A person named Khorn1234 is not sure what to make of this video, and would like our help to investigate what could be paranormal lights in the woods at night. It starts off as one tiny red light at 2 minutes and 28 seconds, and soon the entire surrounding forest is lit up by them. Strange flashing lights suspended in midair. He looks the other way and across a field sees more of them. It's not houses and it's not towers, he says, and I agree. They seem to spontaneously appear and disappear without reason. It kind of looks like Christmas lights, except this was taken in the middle of July. So what are they? Isaac Brumeghem feels a bite on his line and pulls up something larger than he ever imagined. It looks like he hooked the shark, but when you watch it again, you'll see the shark was actually going after a much smaller fish. Isaac quickly unhooks and releases the fish before the shark has the chance for a second go. Isaac is so incredibly lucky that the line was behind him and not close to the kayak, otherwise this shark could have practically landed in his lap. These videos were taken at the annual Global Citizen Music Festival of 2018 in New York City. Everyone is enjoying the late night concert until a crowd of people suddenly start trying to escape and basically cause a stampede. Nobody knows what they are running from, and they won't find out until much later, but everybody is moving fast and afraid for their lives. Their voices are filled with panic and raw fear fuels their every step as they grab their friends and try to get out as fast as they can.
What the just happened?
What's going on? Do you know what?
I have no idea what's happening.
The situation becomes all too real when a head officer of the NYPD comes on stage and makes a brief and serious sounding announcement.
Please, everybody, stop! Remain calm. Remain calm. Try and open up the fence in the back. We're trying to get everybody to remain calm. Try and move backwards.
Try to move backwards is all the police will say without any further explanation, which sends everyone into even more of an uproar. Those who make it out find the entrance is swarming with emergency vehicles, but still nobody knows why. As it turns out, the source of the commotion was a large steel barricade that fell over and made a loud banging noise. The bang carried throughout the venue and sounded like someone discharging a firearm, which caused a panic. I can only imagine how stressful this must have been for everybody, especially when none of them know what is wrong at the time. Fortunately, a strong police presence was able to keep the evacuation orderly and help stop people from trampling over each other. Tim, John, and Ben are going to explore a house in the back of the woods that is rumored to be where a clan of worshippers do all kinds of rituals. They wander around in the woods for a while until a rickety white house rises from the darkness. Inside, warnings are spray painted all across the walls in big dark letters, but they do not heed them and press on. Tim, John, and Ben take turns breaking stuff and jumping out at each other, but suddenly the three become very serious and quiet when they find a dungeon-like basement that leads straight down. The dark area smells extremely foul, and they cover their nose and mouths with their shirts to lessen the stench. The only thing down there besides them are two dolls hanging by their necks, or at least that's what they think. Suddenly, all three of them are running from what sounds like a creature with a low, throaty growl.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, please, Robert! Okay, you gotta go.
If this noise is real, then it almost has to be the end result of a terrible ritual that none of us are brave enough to see. A YouTuber called Douglas Cash stands at the entrance of these caves in the Bahamas. The stunning scenery grows less colorful and more claustrophobic as he takes a few hesitant steps inside. Soon he finds himself staring down a tunnel that looks barely large enough to support a human when a wild shriek fills his ears. Listen to this and tell me what it could possibly be, animal or otherwise.
Well, you know I ain't going down yet, right?
Whatever it is, it sounds about medium-sized, but vicious enough to tear your throat out if given the chance. Even Douglas doesn't seem to recognize the menacing noise and decides not to go any deeper. But since he did come all the way out to this area by foot to do some exploring, he decides to hang around the cave entrance for just a bit longer. After all, it's brighter here, and he doubts whatever he heard is going to come out of the darkness. He explores for another 2 minutes or so, studying the natural rock formations and whatnot, and then decides to call it a day. But unknown to him, looking back at him from the darkness are two glowing eyes that quickly disappear, and if you listen closely, you can hear some kind of chittering language that could indicate a certain level of intelligence. A small kayak is completely dwarfed by an enormous shark that's not too far away. The shark begins to turn towards the kayaker and make a pass at them, though it's unclear whether the shark was hungry or just curiously investigating its surroundings. Either way, the uploader of this video estimates the shark to be over 40 feet long based on the average size of a kayak. Sometimes being deep underwater can make objects look much bigger than they really are. However, here you can see that the shark is close enough to the surface for its fin to break the water, so its size is not being exaggerated at all. From what I understand, sharks don't usually come to the surface unless they see something of interest, so maybe it really was going to eat the kayaker. I'm not sure about the geographic location of this video, but it appears to have been taken from some sort of helicopter, perhaps one belonging to the National Coast Guard of whichever country is claiming these waters as its territory. Unfortunately, the video ends before we get to see the kayaker's fate. Of course, this uploader could just be skilled at video editing. Let me know what you make of this one. When inanimate objects start taking life around your home, maybe your house is cursed a la Beauty and the Beast, or maybe it's haunted by a poltergeist. Posted to YouTube by Horrifying Nightmares in January of 2013, the YouTuber explains, "Last week we captured footage of a bull scooting across the table. Some said it was a string, but this time the bull flew into the air, cups scooted across the table, and the entire table shook." Noting that the video speaks for itself, let's see if it does. The video shows a little boy playing at a table. In front of him is a red bowl with something inside. The boy plays for a time without incident, but the minute he walks away from the table, the bowl slides on its own to the left. In a later clip, the same red bowl flies from the table, another blue bowl and green cup slide across it, then the table jumps up, shaken by the paranormal. Would you be interested in eating at this poltergeist table? I think I'm gonna pass. A YouTuber named Alex Hayes and his friends find a cool looking stone perch overlooking the beach below. The good weather has them in high spirits, and it isn't long before they are playing around near the ledge. Alex wants to impress everyone with a headstand, but it doesn't exactly work out as planned.
Holy sh... Oh. Don't do that to me. Oh my goodness. Holy... Oh.
Pause here and you'll see how close Alex was to tumbling over. He barely catches himself with his right hand, and if his right leg went back any further, then he would have definitely lost his balance. A paranormal investigator who goes by Bakersfield Paranormal Services sadly lost his mother and is filled with grief. Even though he is very distraught, he wants to communicate with her. He goes to the cemetery with his equipment and approaches his mother's marker. At first, he asks some basic questions and has her respond by playing with the lights.
Are you always around me and my wife and my kids? Thank you. Emotions there, Mom. Do you love my wife? Okay, I got it. I got it.
After a while, he pulls out what he calls a ghost box, which supposedly allows his mother to communicate using various radio frequencies. He believes other spirits are crowding around the box and keeping his mom from communicating.
Mom, can you please speak to me? You're trying to?
He thinks she says, "I'm trying to," but I think it kind of sounds like she might be saying, "I love you." Listen to it again and let me know what you hear during this part. YouTuber Exploring with Josh spent the night in this building, one of the UK's most haunted hospitals.
It's called the Bonnie Garth Workhouse / Asylum.
Up to 300 people lost their lives in or died. Or 300 people could have died.
At first, the explorers scare each other.
We're fast, I bet.
I'm so glad no one got my reaction, dude.
But later, they discover it's not each other they should be afraid of.
You can let me know. I'm gonna keep going. Oh, yeah, okay. You ready?
After receiving that confirmation, they get a verbal one as well.
Or is there more like you here? There's more. Do you like us?
According to the spirit's communication, there are more like him around. Did one of these others touch Seth?
We're back in the dark. We're finding the stairs.
Something just touched my back.
Yo, chill. For real?
I swear to bro.
Dude, I'm telling you, this one.
I believe the spirit when he says he's not alone. The fact that multiple devices were triggered when the spirit was questioned makes me think this isn't just coincidence. Something is residing here. This ghost is trying to bum a ride. Posted by Ghost Videos in July of 2020. A man was driving in Johor, Malaysia when he crossed paths with a hitchhiking spirit. The dashcam footage shows a dark, empty room at night. According to the timestamp, it's around 2 in the morning in July of 2019. As the car barrels down the road, a semi-transparent figure appears in the dark lane on the right. You can barely make out the apparition as it holds out its thumb to catch a ride. What do you think? A live person half hidden in the darkness? Hitchhiking in the darkness of night? If so, what is the spirit's destination? We may never know. It's late at night when an unusual looking mist makes the driver pull over and start recording. Something is off about the scenery. It doesn't look or feel natural, and less than a minute later, this appears directly in front of them. First orbs dance all around, and then the fog clumps together to form a phantom reaching out. I've never seen fog behave like this, and the way it rises looks just like a person standing up. There's no denying the shape is human, and if you look close enough, you can make out its entire body, head, shoulders, arms, and all. The phantom vanishes as quickly as it came, leaving the person standing by the side of the road wondering what they really just saw. Blink and you'll miss it. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit. Power Startup writes, IDK, what's up with this video? It's slowed down and the voice sounds poorly acted, but when she turns the camera back around, look at the left staircase. As the woman in the video addresses an unseen presence called Joey, the camera pans from a rickety old stair to a darkened window for a moment. It's when she turns back that viewers are seeing something unusual. Redditor Paratrax writes, that's a foot walking up the stairs, while others agree that it appears on the third step to the bottom near the railing. Is this Joey? If so, he's not in the basement. Lady, he'd be right beside you. On occasion, images caught on a baby monitor can give you pause. Other times, they're downright paralyzing. Published to TikTok by Martin, the TikToker thinks this is a monster. A baby is turning restlessly in his crib. You can see a dark form at the head of the crib, but it's not yet clear if it's just an innocuous shadow cast by something in the room. But as the baby turns onto his stomach, two glowing eyes blink open and thin, smoky fingers reach into the crib from the side. Is this a spirit, an alien, a monster, a human intruder? Whatever it is, get that baby out of there and fast. A YouTuber named Stirrin's Wild World is grabbing some firewood from a pile when she notices something small and dangerous moving from within. You probably don't see anything, and neither did I at first. Without some hesitation, she carefully uses a grabbing stick to extract the beast from its hiding spot.
More venom. More venom!
It's not just any cobra, it's a cobra that actually spits venom. The sight fills her with fear and fascination. Watch as she keeps its mouth pointed away from her as she examines its body. She is giving some basic information about the species when it somehow slips past her guard. It doesn't look like she loosens her grip at all, but rather the snake flattens its jaws and slides through.
Okay, the reason why I'm in love. Whoa!
She manages to snag it by the tail again and moves backwards as the snake comes at her, spitting venom all the while. The video ends before she gets a chance to release it, but based on how it's aggressively moving towards her, I have no idea how she plans to get away. Two men go into an internet cafe early in the morning with a few pro tools and the worst of intentions. Hardly anyone is there, and even if the place were busy, it wouldn't matter because they've got their routine down to a science. They pick two seats midway down so as not to look obvious. One of them acts like they're going online, but what he's really doing is helping to cover the movements of his friend, who has already unscrewed the casing of the computer and is now working on the floor bolts that are holding it down. There's a wall on his side, so if you worked there, it would be like he was digging through a backpack or something. Something walks by them at 28 seconds and is too busy on their phone to notice what they're up to. They act like they are looking at something on the same screen as the entire uncased computer gets put into a large plastic bag. They put the empty computer case back to make it look like nothing is out of place. They can't just walk out of there with a big obvious computer-shaped plastic bag, so they take it into the bathroom and dismantle the computer for valuable spare parts and throw the rest in the trash. The clerk has no idea what they've done, not even glancing up as they briskly walk out with top-of-the-line video cards, RAM, and other hardware to sell. Clearly, this isn't their first time, but this time they were caught on camera. This rare video was taken about a year ago. During the middle of a seance, the group is moving the pointer in a circle to clear the board when suddenly the camera woman asks,
"Can you manifest into an orb near Sam?"
There is a bit of an accent, but her exact words are, "Can you manifest into an orb near Sam?" Sure enough, a tiny ball of white light darts past the group shortly after. It could be editing, it could be a coincidence, or it could be a very polite and respectful ghost who is doing exactly as they were told. This girl sobs into her long black hair, and her wails of sorrow are beyond strange. Take a listen and tell me if the cries are really coming from her, or if they've been layered over top. And just when her hair parts, and we see movements from seeing her face, if this really is a roadside ghost, then whoever is filming this should be ready for a serious haunting. I don't know much about video editing, but I will say that the video is low quality, which is a sign of computer rendering, and the upward transition looks a little rough around the edges, so although this video could be real and from a long time ago, I do have some doubts. Thank you so much for getting me to 40,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Can you help me reach 50,000 subscribers? Thank you.